I've decided that every 5th episode in this series is going to be a silly one to keep me sane. The target for this video is a little obscure, and before we begin, I'm going to have to give out some background info. In FIFA 04, there were only about 6 player models for lower league players they didn't have the rights to. One of these has been burnt into my mind, a blonde player with an Arnold Rimmer style side parting. Sometimes he came with black hair, but it's the light-haired one that's haunted me for 13 years. Here he is, playing the parts of Wayne Bridge, Carlo Cudicini, and some bloke at the top, who might as well be Claude Makélélé, all in the same shot. Now the weird part in all of this is he's really hard to find on the internet. I've managed to track down that one picture, and have found a video from a German YouTuber where he's wearing the skin of both Patrick Anderson and Ricardo Quaresma. Other than that, he's pretty well hidden. It makes me think there's a reason he's so hard to find. Luckily, he's incredibly easy to mock. That generic FIFA 04 player is the kind of guy who refuses to eat those Lindt chocolate rabbits you get at Easter, as they've got a face on them and therefore have a personality. That generic FIFA 04 player is the kind of guy who releases his starter Pokemon just outside Pallet Town, and solely uses a Pidgey and eventually a Pidgeot to complete the game. That generic FIFA 04 player is the kind of guy who, when he gets one-on-one with the keeper at five-a-side and puts the ball narrowly wide, he loudly exclaims, "Oh shoot!" That generic FIFA 04 player is the kind of guy who never uses the self-checkouts at supermarkets, preferring the human interaction of giving a cashier a cheery hello. That generic FIFA 04 player is the kind of guy who's always first to arrive at a house party. When he gets there, he only ever drinks water, as he claims he's up early driving the next morning. You've never seen his car though, and you don't remember him passing his test. That generic FIFA 04 player is the kind of guy who isn't allowed to cut through Boots to the other side of the shopping centre anymore, due to an incident with one of the makeup girls. He claims he simply fell, but the CCTV footage suggests otherwise. That generic FIFA 04 player is the kind of guy who was only permitted to watch Disney films until the age of 16. The reason his parents gave him was that PG stands for parental guidance, and they certainly weren't going to give their guidance for him to watch scary films like Jurassic Park and Short Circuit 2. On a completely unrelated note, he later spent time in a young offenders institute between the ages of 17 and 21. That generic FIFA 04 player is the kind of guy who becomes a local organiser for Clean for the Queen, although he prefers the term community captain. As part of his job, he gets a special purple bag, a personalised high-visibility jacket, and several letters from concerned parents that don't want their kids taking part in his events. That generic FIFA 04 player is the kind of guy who gets upset that women never go for nice guys like him, and spend all their time with douchebags like Brad. Incidentally, Brad's the captain of a FIFA 13 Pro Clubs team, so you can see why the women prefer him. That generic FIFA 04 player is the kind of guy who honestly thought that off-the-ball control was a game mechanic that was going to take off, but failed to foresee how fiddly it all was. By the time you told Diego Forlan to run into space, Mark Fish had already closed you down.